Right there, the black one.
Right there. Right there.
Pocketbook. Pocketbook. That's it. Thank you. Put some lotion on my hands so I don't look so ashy. We're talking about beauty.
That's all right.
All right,
What was it about Madam C.J. Walker that caused her to become a millionaire back in the, wasn't it in the 1930s?
well, it was even earlier than that because I believe she died in 1928, or when she built her house, I believe it was in 1928. But she was a go-getter. She was a very spunky, very determined, very enthusiastic woman and built a tremendous business back in the early 1900s. And of course, so many of the African Americans today are emulating and patterning their businesses after Madam C.J. Walker.
Now she, in the 1900s, we were just coming out of slavery. So how $1 million back then that was money.
It was an awful lot of money. In fact, she built one of the beautiful mansions up on the Hudson River. You remember the Hudson River has been talked a lot about.
In New York.
Yes, in New York, where the plane came down and the pilot was so courageous and saved 150 people. Well, that was very near where she built her house on the river, on the Hudson River. And of course, during that time, nobody of our color could live in that area, even think about building a house in that area. But because she was so energetic and persuasive and dynamic as a businesswoman, she commanded things that so many of us don't even command today.
And no one came immediately after her to capture what she had done or to even duplicate what she had done.
Not right away, but our mentor for Dudley Products is S.B. Fuller. And he started his business, a cosmetic business, back in 1935. And of course, he was a millionaire and built a tremendous business and had salespeople all over the country selling products, whether it's to black people or white people, brown people, it didn't matter. And also had a department store in Chicago, Illinois. So he came along at a time that we weren't doing an awful lot, and then there are other companies that came along about the same time, but they just were not as large as Fuller Products, cosmetics.
One of the things that we often think about when we think about beauty, and we've titled this program Beauty, because beauty is everywhere. And when we look at people and we look at how they carry themselves, the way they speak, the way they treat others, we see beauty in them, don't we?
We do. And I think that we have to go back to some of our old values when it comes down to appreciating people. One of the things I like about some cultures, they look up to, respect their elders, and they look to them to get information. They look to them to gain their wisdom or to know things that they can teach them. And I like to do that with our people. I like to get information from older individuals and find out something about their life, their trials, their tribulations, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Things that they've been through, successes, failures, we can learn from them without having to go through those.
You know, one of the things that happened many years ago, an experiment was done. And they took a African American doll and a white doll and had children to look at them and say, which one is most beautiful? And 90% of the children chose the white doll, even though the dolls looked alike. The only thing that was different was the skin color. Have we gotten away from some of that?
I think some, but I still believe that we have not learned to appreciate our skin color, its hue, its thickness. But because we teach a skincare program that's called aesthetics at our beauty schools, I've learned a lot about skin and realized that we have a permanent tan. And that tan helps us to keep from having skin cancers. It protects us, and then we know not to get out in the sun and stay too long. So that helps us. But most people don't know that our thickness of our skin and the beautiful brown and dark colored skin is really what's in.
You know, how did we get away from pressing our hair, and then we came right back to start doing it again, to using products? Now, back in the day, Madam C.J. Walker, that's one of the things that she brought forth, didn't she?
She did. It was using a press and comb, and of course, years ago they used to do crimping and waves and a lot of things, and a lot of those things are still popular today. However, other products have come on the market. We've had other styles that come and take our attention. There was the Afro that came out in the early 60s. That was very, very popular in the 60s and 70s. And then there was the Jerry curl. So a lot of folk went from pressing to Afro, then they went to the Jerry curl, and then they got tired of that and said, okay, let's press again, or let's get a relaxer or a perm. And so that's what we've been through all through the years, up and down the scale in terms of history repeating itself.
Now, and it goes right back to our roots, right back to back to the beginning, doesn't it? You know, as we think about our roots going back to the history of Africa, they didn't press their hair in Africans back in the early years, did they?
I'm not aware of that. Doesn't mean it was not done. But I've been to a museum some years ago in a foreign country that showed some of the things that the Egyptians did. And believe it or not, they had some of the same tools and combs and apparatuses thousands and thousands of years ago that the Egyptians had and used that we're coming up with and using now. So like I said, history repeats itself. It's just if you don't study, you won't know it. If you don't travel, you won't know it. If you don't educate yourself and dig and study, you won't know that these things happen and that they repeat themselves.
Artists, we'll continue to talk with Eunice Dudley as we talk about beauty, as we talk about beauties within all of us. Everyone is beautiful. But we're going to take a short break now. And we're going to visit some sights and sounds, and then we're going to come right back. Artists, we'll continue to talk with Ms. Eunice Dudley as we talk about beauty, how important beauty is, and how we see beauty as individuals, and how we choose to be beautiful, and how we enhance our natural beauty. So a lot of people do things to enhance their natural beauty. They're naturally beautiful, but they do hair care and makeup, eyelashes, and many things that enhances it. And we're fortunate to be in a country, be in an age where we can have access to all of these different kinds of products and styles because it builds self-esteem.
It certainly does. And I like the versatility of hairstyles, makeup, good trends come along that help people decide what they'd like to wear, whether they're interested in pressing, curling, wearing waves, whether it's a jerry curl, a soft curl, braids, dreadlocks, twist. All these things are different kinds of hairstyles. And of course, you have to choose what makes you happy when you decide how you want to look.
Now, seems like one of the most popular, or two of the most popular styles, the dreads, the sister locks, the braids. And you hear braids and see so many different people have to do them in their homes, they do them in salons. Seems like braids seems to be almost the most popular thing.
Well, I wouldn't say the most popular. I still think your relaxers and pressing curls are the most popular, but it's gaining ground. More people are beginning to wear them, and especially some of the fellas, especially some of the athletes and some of the folk who are playing different kinds of sports. You'll see them wearing cornrows and braids.
Is that becoming to a man to wear cornrows? Is that a professional image?
Well, it depends on who you're with and what they value. If your job says it's not interested in you wearing braids or cornrows, then you'll have to look and see whether or not you would like to continue to work there if you'd like to work someplace else. So it depends on the boss, their values, what they consider to be good, what they consider not to represent them. So it depends. I'm in the beauty business and we have to teach it all. All of it is a part of what we teach, whether it's curly hair, whether it's straight hair, fine hair, thick hair, doesn't matter. Hair is hair. And so we teach it all. So you can choose your own style, but you let other people choose theirs as well.
Now, when you talk about, there's a documentary called Good Hair. Is
Yes.
it called Good? That's the name of the documentary.
Yes.
And in that one, it shows how people value different hairstyles and different textures.
Yes, they do. This is a situation that Chris Rock came across and decided to make this film. And he decided to include several companies, including ours, to do some studies. And he wanted to show different aspects of the industry. And he had the opportunity to do that. And that's why I'm encouraging you and others to go out and see this particular movie. It's really, really good. And then we're going to ask him to consider doing number 2, because this one says a lot, but he is provoking a lot more thought and a lot more interest as well as research, and we want him to take it to another level.
Is there such a thing as good hair? Or is there such a thing as bad hair?
No. Hair has to be treated. It's just like anything else. It has to be taken care of, and it has to be treated when there's a problem. So when you do that, it's just like you go to the doctor. If you have a problem, you go to the doctor, you get the medicine that you need, and you get it taken care of. And that's what we deal with hair all the time.
Now, we've often heard that the braids, they're so tight on the scalp, but they look great. And in order for them to be functionable and to really stay in place, they have to have a certain amount of tightness.
Yes, they have to have tension on them. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that can become a problem depending on the hair type, and whether hair is added or whether they're just wearing their own. So that's where good hair, shampoos, conditioners, all those wonderful things play a tremendous part in terms of keeping the hair healthy.
And so when they continuously wear braid after braid and get their hair braided, it pulls on the hair shaft, doesn't it?
Yes, but if the stylist that works with them is concerned about their hair and their hair coming out, then they'll do whatever they need to do in terms of treating it to make sure that that does not continue to happen. But some people have problems and it comes out. And it's just like any other process that you use, whether it's pressing and curling or anything else. You've got to be concerned about that customer's hair to take care of it and make sure it stays on their head rather than coming out.
Audience, we'll continue to talk about beauty and how people strive to be beautiful and how the beauty industry is a multi-million-dollar industry. Even men want to look great, and they take a lot of time in salons doing their nails, getting their hair braided, shampooed, or cut. So it goes across all lines and all age groups, people trying to look beautiful because it builds self-esteem, it makes people feel good about themselves, and it gives a great appearance to the public. And so Eunice Dudley is our guest today as we talk about beauty, as we talk about being beautiful. Men are spending more time, is that the growing group?
Yes, it is. I think men are becoming more conscious of how they look because women are asking them to do that. And I think they are responding well. So more men are getting themselves groomed. If you can remember, some time ago, a big politician had the opportunity to spend $300 for a haircut. Now, we don't command that in our neighborhood. We still are around the $7, $10, $15 range, and every now and then you'll find a stylist or a barber that might charge $20, $25, $30 for a man's haircut. But men are getting a lot of services, and men are going to spas, they're going by themselves for services, as well as going with their soulmate.
So they're doing more than they've ever done before about looking good, and they realize the importance of it. It builds self-esteem for men just as for women.
That is true.
And as you look at the different styles, they do have some of the same styles, hairstyles that women have.
True, but now one thing that has changed, you remember back in the 70s, men had a lot of the pressed look. You know, if you can think back to a lot of the singers and some of the stars.
They did.
They had that pressed look. Well, that was a process that it was called. They processed their hair. That's what they did. And of course they wore it high, and some of them wore them slicked down. Didn't many of them roll their hair, but some of them continue to do that. Even a very popular gentleman now continues to wear his hair straight, and he rolls it at night.
Just like women did, and women hated, many of us hated rolling hair, but we knew how we wanted to look, and we knew what we needed to do in order to look good. And the beauty industry has gone beyond just hair to many of the other things to nails, to doing your feet.
Yes.
And to spas.
Yes.
Many things that we as African American women did not grow up with.
True. And I think women are beginning to learn to take care of themselves and to pamper themselves. And that's where the spas come in. A lot of the training we do in one of the classes we deal with skincare works a lot on just skin, facials. It's important to have a deep cleansing facial. Very, very good for you. Very relaxing. Whether it's a back facial. All these things just help you to relax, help you to feel good about yourself. And then you can get massages, and they help you to feel good about yourself. And especially if you get it with a mate.
And those are some things that we didn't grow up with, but many of our counterparts did.
That's true.
And so it kind of crosses over all cultures and all economic levels, that people are just doing more to look good and to be beautiful and to help themselves. And eyelashes is a new thing, and I see some people just getting them like every 2 weeks. They never go without their eyelashes.
Well, it gives them the opportunity to bat their eyes, and then they're able to flirt a little bit, and that gives them joy. So it's whatever gives you the sense of importance and the sense of enjoying your beauty. So that's why they do that.
And is that something that they have to be licensed to perform? And that has changed over the years from individual strands rather than, there are options now.
The options are out there, and it's always good to deal with the person who's licensed to do things, because it means that they know about safety and sanitation, which is extremely important when you're working on the public. And that's why you want to go to a salon or to a school where they're going to be very, very careful as to how they take care of you, or to a spa, or a barbershop. So you want to make sure you go to places where they have licensed people.
Now, what do you expect to see in the future, some of the trends? Now, we know we've gone from one thing to that. We've gone from the Afro, and we've come to Preston curl, and we've gone to Jerry curl, and now we're going to be going to something different.
Well, I'm looking for someone to create a new type of process or some other type of hairstyle that's going to be revolutionary. And that's why I was talking about research. It's good if we do it in schools, if we have salon owners or salon people who would like to do research. I admire them. I want them to do that because it brings about excitement in the field. It's just like lots of haircuts. Different kinds of haircuts bring on a lot of excitement when it comes down to us. Hair shows, competitions, all of that is really, really good for the industry. But a lot of excitement can be created because we get into research and we delve into some new things and bring about some new things for us to have new trends.
Now, do you think that'll happen here in the United States, or will it happen in Europe, in some other country, and then be brought to the United States? New research and new trends.
I would expect it to be here because people are thinking about this more right now as at one time. Several people call me quite often about new apparatuses and things that they've created, and they want somebody to manufacture it for them or to make a prototype so that they can get it mass produced. But the biggest challenge they have is once they get it produced, who's going to sell it? So our biggest challenge for our African American inventors is how the product will and can be sold.
Even though they'd probably have to patent it and sell it to someone else who's in a similar kind of business, and it could never completely be their own.
Well, more than likely not, especially if they don't have the means and the access for mass production as well as mass sales. And that's what we need to find a way to do.
And that's with any product, isn't it?
Any product, anything new that's coming on the market.
And that's why many times when people have these ideas, they sell them to an existing company because the company is already in a business, and they can take it and move it forward.
Yes.
Audience, we've been talking with Mrs. Eunice Dudley, and we've been talking about beautiful and how the beauty industry is changing and how everyone is beautiful in his or her own way. I want to thank you too for tuning in with Joyce Waddell. I want you to tune in next week for another interesting program, as we'll be talking about education and beauty, how we must educate ourselves, because many things that we believe, we have a lot of myths, we have a lot of misconceptions about things that contribute to beauty. Have a lot of misconceptions about why people don't see themselves as being beautiful when they really, really are. And that beauty comes in all shapes, all sizes, and all colors. And there is never just one standard for everyone. Sometimes we look at a person and we say that person is beautiful because it's what we see outwardly, isn't it?
It is.
But it's more to it than that, isn't it?
It is. You know, I had an awakening 8 years ago when I came down with breast cancer. I had the opportunity to get surgery. I was given the choice of getting chemotherapy, and I was mandated to take the radiation. I decided to take the chemotherapy, and it helped me to get well. So during that time, I lost my hair. I was bald-headed, and I learned that it doesn't matter whether you have a bald, ugly head or a bald, pretty head, that you still are beautiful. Regardless of what's going on, you still are and can be beautiful.
And I see women today, and many women who are walking around, who are interacting in our society, and they have their hair bald. And some of them do it for different reasons. I want to thank you for being with us on Views with Joyce. Tune in again next week for another interesting program.